you know that those vehicles, until they pack up and then you see them abandoned by the corner in a police station, nobody will use them. So that is the mentality of the Nigerian police that we are dealing with. Until we look at it fundamentally and holistically and say, we no longer want to be recruiting how man go do into Nigerian police. We want a police that will be proud to be a policeman. We want a police that will come out, even if he's wearing black or black, he's looking so smart and well-dressed that he will be attractive for people to relate with. And not a policeman that you see is smelling of alcohol and nobody is not punished for drinking alcohol in the morning. Even his superior also is drinking in his office. In some cases, they're smoking in their hand because you do not employ reasonable boy. The force is not attractive to the best brains. So why will you want people to go waste their life there? Imagine a policeman with a gun telling you, do you know who I am? I will shoot you and nothing will come out of it. Because nothing will come out of it. Instead, the police hierarchy will be the one defending him. Nothing will happen. But if he knows that the moment it happens, immediately there and then, his colleagues will be the one to arrest him and then hand him over to the appropriate authority for trial, they won't dare it. If they also know that as a citizen, once anything happens to you, you can report a police officer to a complaint office or an enforcement unit that disciplines police officer, we will have situations where police will be careful in wherever they are. But when they know that even the enforcement unit, the OC there is hungry, once you give him money, you can settle him. Or that as OC SARS, you are above board. Everybody is a criminal in your eyes. You can do and undo. After all, the person is dead. Label him a criminal. Nobody will inquire how he died. Then you continue to do all those things. So it's a systemic failure. It's a leadership failure. It's also a structural defect. All of these three things, once you correct them, you're going to have, Nigerians will, you see a Nigerian police, you'll be so proud to relate to the Nigerian police. Just the same way we go abroad, you see a British police, you see an American police, you want to take photographs with them. Yes, after exactly. All, the American police uniform, even though it looks like black, is a dark blue. Is it not the same black that we're wearing? But that one looks smart. Ours look like a madman on the road because we have neglected them. And so that's why it's not in the uniform. The British police, you look at them, we gadget all over. And then you see police. Why can't our own be different? Because you also have an IG who is distant. IG will be in Abuja. Commissioner will be here. Everybody reports up there. Why can't we have regional police? Why can't the state governor, for example, be in charge? Do you know that in Lagos, last man look better than police? Because the last man official, the man taking care of him is closer to him. There's a commissioner who is directly on the road, who sees them. But for the policeman, even the commissioner buys his uniform. So why will he bother whatever you wear? You see some of them pot belly. There are days when police used to go for, every 4 o'clock in the evening in the barrack, there's what they call fatigue. You go for exercise. But today, because they also use it to implicate some people, gossip had now come in, and then it is completely destroyed. Our police, it's even more attractive for you to have pot belly than being a smart person. When we see a smart policeman, we are shocked, we are surprised, because our police are supposed to be pot belly. And then you say you want to build a Nigerian police. It's not possible. You don't build police in that way.
All right. I didn't expect less from you, to be honest. So, I can't help but ask that, because I know that there was a press release by the Nigerian army. I don't know if you saw it, that more or less gave a threat to stale the youth from their protest and their right of expression. So my question is this sustainable for the government giving your own experience over the years for them to put out such a press conference, knowing that both army and, of course, the government, they are working hand in hand together?
I sent pictures to a friend of mine, gory pictures of army, under racks and officers that were ambushed by Boko Haram and in broad daylight. Not too long ago, I had a privilege of talking to some young army officers who were lamenting the poor condition that they had to go through fighting Boko Haram. Also, not too long ago, we saw how former Chief of Defense Staff, former Chief of Army Staff, former Chief of Naval Staff, all buried money, acquired properties with humongous billions of naira. So what it means is that we also saw how some people were tried for using funds, armed funds for campaign. What it means is that the money that is meant for the military is finding its way into private pockets. And so, this Nigeria that we are all struggling to repair, the army is not let out. Be you officer or under rank, they are not let out. IBB at age 45 became head of state in Nigeria. At 50-something, he had retired. He had a mansion in the hilltop in Mina. 50-bedroom mansion. What was his job for being president of Nigeria? General Gowon at 29 became head of state, even got married as head of state of Nigeria. Buhari at 34 was already head of, at 31 was minister. At 34 became head of state, or at 29 became minister, at 34 became head of state. And all of these people, the only thing they have to show is that they were in the military and they made so much money. And the same military that are issuing threat today, the same boys, other ranks that they want to use to disperse protesters. Not too long ago also, one of them released a video of how they are suffering, how some of them were being slaughtered like chickens in the hands of Boko Haram. So that means they are in this problem with us. They are not in a different country. They are in this same problem with us. Because they cannot protest, people are protesting on their behalf. So they should know that the fight for a better Nigeria is not just the youth who are on the street that will benefit. They also, their children will benefit. Nobody, if we have a better Nigeria, Boko Haram would have been dead by now. But because of the kind of country that we have, the money meant to fight Boko Haram, people will use it to buy properties in Dubai. People will use it to buy properties in America and in Nigeria. While the boys who are supposed to be fighting Boko Haram are given few ammunitions and then in some cases are allowed to die carelessly. Where is, as we speak now, Colonel Abu Ali, you remember that young officer who just got married, who had just put to bed before he was killed in Boko Haram up north. Do we still ask about his wife today? You had Sergeant Dache. All of these are young boys who had the dream of a better Nigeria, who had the hope of joining the military and fly the flag of their country. But their country failed and they died like and uncelebrated. In some cases, their family do not even know where they are buried. Look at the policeman that was killed by terrorists in France. When he was buried, you saw Macron, placed his hand on the grave, on the casket of that policeman. You will love to die for your country. The entire France stood still for one police officer. But here, every day you hear that military officers are killed in the north. Despite their exploits, they are buried in secret. In some cases, flags are not flown at half-mast. These are people who are laying down there today for our tomorrow. And the chief of army staff dare say that he wants to send them to disperse people who are protesting for their tomorrow to be better. They should know that if Nigeria is better, they will not be dying in the bush fighting Boko Haram. They will also be treated like American soldiers. You've traveled abroad. I traveled recently through the airport at San Francisco, and I was happy when I was hearing an announcement over the loudspeaker, if you are an American military passing through our airport here, we will like, if there's anything we can do for you, we'll gladly do it. Because for our tomorrow, you are laying down your today. We celebrate you today, we celebrate you always. That is how heroes are celebrated. But as we tell ourselves, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. But the ones that are dying today, we do not even celebrate them. We seldom celebrate our heroes. And so, as an army officer, do not allow your superior to deceive you and tell you, go queer protesters. Peaceful protesters, if you are so strong, why have you not defeated Boko Haram? If the Nigerian government, I also heard that the northern elders and the northern governors are asking for SARS to be transferred to the north. The Boko Haram that, the Boko Haram that the military had not been able to defeat in 12 years, is this SARS that when they hear back, they will take off. It is innocent, handsome boys that they oppress. Is this SARS that we go and end Boko Haram? You remember the case of Yadume. Yadume, the boys from SARS that went to rescue Yadume, how did they die? They died like chickens in the hands of military men who are supposed to be their colleague. And what has the state done for them till date? And it is those boys that have died in the hands of SARS today. If care is not taken, if the military does also not rise up to tell their superior that no, we cannot queer protesters, we cannot confront innocent protesters. Someday, if this Nigeria go bad, it is not only all of us that will suffer it, even their children also will suffer it. They're already suffering enough, because how do you send a man to go fight Boko Haram with superior firepower, and yet he does not have, enough ammunition? For how many years now we have paid for aircraft undelivered? During Goodluck Jonathan's time, we borrowed $1 billion to purchase arms. Do you know that $1 billion is $1 million every day for a year? 365. It's even more than that now. During Buhari's time, we borrowed another $1 billion to buy arms. To date, we have not seen any. And so that army man, that military man, if his superior tells him, go and disperse protesters, he should use his brain. Buratai, Sarah reporter busted with Buratai that he had houses. He bought houses in Dubai. Even before investigation, the Nigerian government said he bought it with his savings. What is his salary? How much savings for him to buy such properties? But yes, you have other ranks who are fighting Boko Haram. Some have died. Their parents or their wives do not even know that they have died. Some are in the barracks. The day they are fired from the army, they do not have a place to call their own. My uncle retired from the army, from the Kenya cantonment. It is when he left, he had to go and stay in his friend's house to be able to put a place together that he can call his own after serving the military for 35 years. And so you still want the Nigerian military hierarchy to push you to go queer protesters or to use guns on protesters. You should think twice.
Liborous, you have schooled me today. You've casted my mind back to history. And I can only pray that God gives people like you longevity to help to lead us in the fight of the situation that we found ourselves today. But let me quickly ask our followers, our listeners right now, your attentive followers, because we are all plenty. If you have any questions for him, please go ahead and ask him. Any questions you want to ask, and how we can be, give us suggestions on how we can all work together to make sure that our country becomes a better place. So, there's a question I need to ask you. The NLC, the NUT, ASU, and other unions have in numerous times negotiated the needs of Nigerians with the government, and the outcomes have not yielded any satisfactory result over the years. So my question is, are the youth revealing another approach to getting things done in our Nigerian system right now?
Yeah, you find out that, like I said, when in 2012, during the occupied Nigerian protests,
yes,
Nigerians were the ones protesting. At the end of the day, when it was time to negotiate, it was Labour that were invited to negotiate. Labour, at that point, the question I asked on the protest ground was, this protest was not called by Labour. It was called by Nigerians in conjunction with civil society. Now Labour has gone to negotiate. Who is negotiating on behalf of Nigerians? The answer was a no, because the people who were negotiating for Labour were negotiating from an interest point of view. To them, it was about salaries. To them, it was about cushioning the effect. And so, on that table, there was nobody to speak for Nigerians, but people who had vested interest. And recently also, Labour were spoiling for war, that the price of fear must go down, the price of tariff must go down. The night before the protest or the strike, the government, typical of them, called Labour to Abuja. They went into a closed-door meeting, a meeting they have not had even before the notice or after the notice. For the whole night, they were there, they ate chicken, drank tea, drank wine, and then came out and said, look, we have decided to suspend for 2 weeks, and government will suspend tariff and all of that. And then the big question we asked some of them who were our friends was the fact that, how come all of a sudden you raise the hope of Nigerians and then you dash it midway? Some of them were so arrogant that their response was that in the International Labour Convention, the price of fear is not a ground for protesting. And then we showed them the section in the International Labour Convention where it specifically states that hardship and price of fear can be a ground for protest. And they ran away. And so that is why it is now they are burying their head in shame. They are hiding because that thing they couldn't do for their children have taken their destiny in their hands. Like now. Yes, like Reno Omokri said, our fathers protested when Buhari was Minister of Petroleum. Our uncles protested when our fathers protested when Buhari was military administrator. Our uncles protested when Buhari was Minister for Petroleum. We protested when Buhari was a military head of state. Today, our children are protesting Buhari as president. Mind you, they told us that we are the leaders of tomorrow. Today, they are still leading us. And Labour is so shameless that they sit down with these people, not minding the suffering that Nigerians are going through. And then they compromise their position. What this has mean now, the meaning of this is that nobody again will look at Labour and say, come and rescue us. Or Labour go and... Now, government is looking for who to negotiate with, who to discuss with. If it were before, they would have called Labour. And then the next thing, Labour will say, we have suspended the protest. But now, nobody to call. They have called some people, spoken with them. At the end of the day, those people could not stop the protest. Because there is nothing, there is no army in the world that can stop an idea whose time has come. And that is why now, go check all the protests that have succeeded in recent time. They don't have leaders. It is the people, spontaneously. Wherever you are, you organize your own. So that's why I started with the fact by saying that what people can do. Now you're protesting, you're making demands. Also, let us have our eyes on the gatekeeper, that is INEC, that we conduct election, let it be transparent. So once we have people of credibility in INEC, it will be so easy for us to have a transmission from bad government to at least a tolerable one, and then subsequently a good one.
All right, thank you. While you were talking, I picked something about how the government wants to call on people to negotiate, but the government has started calling for the leaders and the vanguards of the youth to protest, to seek a dialogue with them. So is that a way forward? One, do you think the youth are willing to dialogue with with them considering the level of mistrust shown by the government of the day?
You've answered the question. In law, we say once trust is breached, it's very difficult to rebuild. That is why if you live in organized societies, they will tell you, once you have been able to build your credit rating, one thing every person that lives in London, America, Canada take very seriously is their credit rating. They don't want to destroy their credit rating. They take it very seriously. And the government in these places also take their credibility, their integrity very seriously, because once it is broken, it becomes very difficult for the people to trust you. It can cost a party election for up to 20 years. But here, because over time, our government do not care about integrity and credit rating. So they can promise you one thing today, and the very next day, they will do the opposite. It is only in Nigeria that I hear a man will make election campaign promises only to be voted in. He will tell you it was campaign.